Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be going over how to convert from standard form to factored form when a is equal to 1 and when a is not equal to 1. So with this equation we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. So we know a is 1 because there's no number in front of the x. So when a is 1, you want to figure out which two numbers multiply to 12 and add to 7. So let's write these out. Which numbers multiply to 12 and which add to 7. So essentially, this is the a value, this is the b value, this is the c value. You want to figure out when a is 1, you have to figure out which two numbers multiply to the c value and add to the b value. So when you're first starting out, you may have to do some trial and error. But since I already know the answer, I'm going to just write it out to save time. So the two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 7 are 3 and 4. 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 plus 4 is 7. But when you're first starting out, you might not know right away, but it's okay, just do trial and error, see what works until you get an answer. So once you have your two numbers, which are 3 and 4, you keep the x here, and since this is positive 3 and positive 4, you put in the two brackets the x plus 3 and then the x plus 4. And that's your answer in factored form. So we just took these values and put them into the brackets along with the x. Okay, so let's do another example. Alright, so now we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. So again, a is equal to 1, so we have to figure out which two numbers multiply to the c value, which is 25, and add to the b value, which is 10. So let's write this out here, 25, 10. Well, again, since I know the answer, I'm just going to write it out. But feel free to pause the video and try to figure this out. But the two numbers are 5 and 5. Because 5 times 5 equals 25, 5 plus 5 equals 10. So we do the same thing. I just put a equal sign here probably. In the two brackets, we put x plus 5, x plus 5. Okay? And then if you want, you can simplify that to x plus 5 squared. If you want. If your teacher requires it, you should do that. So yeah, we'll go over one more example when a is equal to 1, and then we'll go on to some more examples when a is not equal to 1. Alright, so one more question when a is equal to 1. So we have x squared minus 29x plus 28. So we have to figure out which two numbers multiply to 28 and add to negative 29. So let's write that out. 28 and negative 29. Okay, so this one's a little tricky, but it's manageable. So 28 times 1 is 28. 28 plus 1 is 29. So this does not work because it's not adding up to negative 29. However, negative 28 and negative 1, if you multiply those two together, you get 28. And negative 28 plus negative 1 is negative 29. So therefore, negative 28 times negative 1, negative 28 plus negative 1. This adds to negative 29, this multiplies to 28. So therefore, negative 28 and negative 1 are the answers. So, equals, in the brackets, we have x minus 28, and we have x minus 1. So that is the answer. Alright, so now we've done a bunch of examples when a is equal to 1. Now we're going to do some examples when a is not equal to 1. Alright, so now we have another example where a is not equal to 1. So, what we have to do is, first thing we do is we see if there's a common factor that can be taken out. There isn't. So, what you do now is when a is not equal to 1, you take the a value and you multiply by the c value. So the 2 times the 2 is 4. And then we write the b value down, which is negative 5. And now you do the same thing. You see which two numbers multiply to 4 and add to negative 5. So the answers are negative 4 and negative 1, because negative 4 times negative 1 is 4, and negative 4 plus negative 1 is negative 5. So once you have these two numbers, which are negative 4 and negative 1, you take the b value and you split it up into those two numbers. So now we have 2x squared minus 4x, and a negative 1 is just the negative x plus 2. Okay? So once you have this, you factor by grouping. Okay, so you group these two together and those two together. So now with the common factor here, 2x. So 2x squared divided by 2x is just x. Negative 4x divided by 2 is negative 2. All right? And here we can factor out a negative 1. So negative 1, this is x now, and this is minus 2. So now we have 2x in the brackets, x minus 2 minus 1x minus 2. And we know we're on the right track because the numbers inside these two brackets should be the same. And they need to be the same so that we can common factor it out. So we can common factor the x minus 2. So then we're left with x minus 2. And then the remaining numbers are 2x minus 1. So we put that into a bracket as well. So that's the answer. All right, so now this will be our last question. So we have 10x squared minus 16x plus 6. So first thing we do when a is not equal to 1, we see if there's a common factor that can be taken out. And in this case, there is a common factor. That common factor is 2. So if we take 2 out of everything, well, what are we left with? Well, 10x squared divided by 2, 5x squared. Negative 16x divided by 2 is negative 8x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay? And once we have this, we're doing the same thing as always. So we take the 5, multiply it by the 3, which is 15, and our b value is negative 8. All right, so which two numbers multiply to 15 and add to negative 8? Negative 5 and 3. Because negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15, and negative 5 plus negative 3 is negative 8. Okay, so once we have these two numbers, which are negative 5 and negative 3, we split the b value up into those two numbers. So now we have negative 5x minus 3x and then plus 3. Okay? And now we factor by grouping again. So we group these two and these two. So when you're in this type of situation, I use the square brackets to make things neater, but you do whatever you want. So what's the common factor with 5x squared minus 5x? It's 5x. This is just x now, and negative 1. Okay? What's the common factor with negative 3x and 3? Negative 3, I believe. Negative 3x and negative 1. Okay? And again, we know we're on the right track because these two numbers inside the brackets are the same. So now, I'm going to go back to the square brackets. We can common factor out the x minus 1. And we're left with 5x minus 3. So that's the answer.